Well, hello, I'm back again with another pen. Today I've got something interesting. Well, I found it interesting at any rate. So this is a Pelikan level. I think it's a level 5. I think there's different model levels, but I haven't done full and extensive amounts of research. Basically, I saw a picture on Instagram of some of these and I thought that looks interesting. And then I popped onto Tinternet and had a little look around and couldn't see too much about them, to be honest. There was like a couple of little reviews I found, but nothing extensive. And then I nipped on eBay, and as it happened, there was one in the UK for around £30. So I thought I would snap that up and give it a go. So it's obviously a bit different looking than your average Pelikan, and I didn't think that one of these would be my first Pelikan, but it is. So let's look at parts of the pen. So you've got the blue plastic translucent barrel, which kind of bulges out in the middle there. Is it? So starts in here, then just bulges out there and then tapers back down towards the end. You have the cap and clip, which has a little bit of spring in it, a little bit of spring in here, although unlike, say, your Lamy 2000, you can't press this and have it spring up, but there is a little spring load in there. You've got 3 little dots to aid with purchase on material, one should say. Top finial, you have level, and ironically, it's not, is it? I'd like that level with the cap, with the clip, but that doesn't seem to move. I think that's one piece. So, the humanity, yeah. On your back finial slash turny knob slash blind cap, etc., you have gap for a filling. It's an interesting filling system, and I'll come to that in a moment. Then snap cap, slip cap, quiet little click, metal section, and then you have a 14-carat gold nib. This one in a medium. So, I mean, added to the fact that of the price of this on eBay, I thought, well, why not? Got a Pelikan gold nib on it. How bad can it be? And I think that's a focus. I think that's a plastic feed. Then you got just little ridges here before you get to the end of the section. Section just starts here, tapers down a little bit, and then flares back out again. You could say that you could be wary of that being a bit of an ink trap if you're filling from bottled ink, but you don't, so that won't be a problem, or a problem in that regard at any rate. So let me shove some measurements in front of you, and then I'll witter on about the pen. So length capped, these are all approx. 145mm, and then uncapped 129mm. Does not post, I'll show you in a second. Weight, so capped 30 grams, that's with a bit of ink in it. So I don't know if you can see, it's not full to full capacity, but there is some ink sloshing around in there, so give or take a gram or two. Uncapped 17 grams, again inked, so give or take a gram or two, and the cap is 12 grams. Barrel is about 12 here and here, and then about 14 in the middle, just where kind of is it? It's not concave, is it convex? Yeah, someone correct me. It's fine. And then the section is about 10 up the top, tapering into about 9 here, and then flaring back out. Okie dokie. So just quickly, as I say, does not post, but that is a good size for me. It's really comfortable in the hand, actually. It just fits really nicely for me. The section, you'd think it would be slippery. I don't find it so. I know some people don't like metal sections. I've had good and bad ones. So, you know, the kind of, is that going to slip? And your hands get all sweaty when you're tense. When you're writing something important, you get all tense. But I find this one's okay, actually, even if I grip that lightly and I try and slip that around, that's absolutely fine. So what makes this interesting? Well, the filling system. So what you should have is a special squeezy Pelikan bottle, particularly designed for this pen, which you basically plug in the back and squeeze your ink into. Unfortunately, I don't have one. Pen didn't come with one. It's obviously secondhand. Been knocking around somewhere for quite some time. As you can see, it's obviously had a good bit of use or been thrown in bags and whatnot. So you got a bit of tarnishing on your metal parts and things, micro scratches and whatnot. Secondhand, 30 quid, gold nib, doesn't bother me particularly. I bought it for exploration, really, I suppose. But yeah, the filling system anyway. So yeah, you would squeegee a bottle in there. I'll keep my eye out and see if I can locate a bottle, even if it's